jailhouse rock with me, let it rock. Everybody let it rock.
Okay, I want to warn you, you're going to have to sit down for this one. It is an unbelievable case of government gone wild. Stay with me. What I'm about to explain is a plan to make us less dependent on foreign oil and corn ethanol. These are good goals. To do that, the government is requiring oil refiners to blend millions of gallons of a substance called cellulosic ethanol into gas. It's made from basic non-food stuff like crop residue, wood chips, industrial waste. Sounds great, right? Guess what? It doesn't exist. Dan Kish is the senior vice president with the Institute for Energy Research, and he says this plan is sort of crazy. Let's start out with what cellulosic ethanol, it's kind of hard to say what it is. You can make ethanol from industrial waste?
It's kind of hard to say, and it's kind of hard to make, Melissa, and that's the problem. The government mandated in 2007 that a certain percentage of our gasoline had to be made from this product. They theoretically would make it by taking things we don't eat, so we won't be burning our food.
But like wood chips and crop residue, I covered energy for a long time. I didn't know that you could make ethanol from wood chips or crop residue. What is crop residue?
Well, crop residue would be the things we don't eat, the things that are left in the field. It also includes the president's favorite, algae. We've heard him talk about how we're going to have an algae future. In President Bush, it was switchgrass. So we've heard of all these things that they proposed. It's bipartisan madness. They put it in the law, and they haven't been able to make 1 gallon so far of this product, and yet they're fining people for not putting it into the gasoline. So they get, the government gets to fine you for not putting a product that doesn't exist in the gasoline.
So the amount actually produced is 0.
Goose egg.
That's how much we've made so far. And as a result, the oil companies have had to pay a fine in order to not, because they can't comply with blending it, because how could you possibly? It doesn't exist.
That's right. They have to pay a fine. They've had to pay a fine for 3 years for a product that they're not supposed to make. This is supposed to be made by companies that promised Congress and the administration that they could produce this product. They're getting grants, they're getting loans, they're getting all kinds of government support with all this green energy stuff, yet they can't make it. And it's equivalent to the government telling you that you have to ride a unicorn to work, and if you don't, it'd be fun. But if you don't ride that unicorn to work, which doesn't exist, we're going to fine you.
Right, and the fine so far has been about $10 million. Is that right?
So far, yeah, close to about $7 million this year. But it's not even the money that matters as much as the principle here. Although by the time this program is done, based on the amount that they're proposing for putting into the fuel system, this could be billions and billions of dollars if they don't back off this. So it's just crazy, Melissa.
It is crazy, and those billions of dollars, the 10 million so far, but the number that you and I will be paying that, because the oil companies, of course, are not going to absorb that. The price of gasoline at the pump will just rise as a result of that. So you and I will be paying it. Basically, to me, it just sounds like a tax or a fee or a heist that the government is levying against the oil companies. Why don't they just call it that? We're going to, you know what, instead of hiding behind this whole idea of you need to blend this fake fuel that doesn't exist, that no one knows how to make, that, you know, is not available to you, why aren't they just straightforward about it and say, by the way, we're just charging you guys an extra $10 million this week?
Well, exactly, and the government has a right to be able to reduce it to 0. But rather than this year, they were actually supposed to put 250 million gallons of this imaginary fuel into the gasoline. They didn't produce any, and so rather than dropping it to 0, the government said, "Well, we want you to put in about 8.5 million gallons."
Oh, so they changed the fake number. That's why the fee is only $10 million. Because $10 million is actually not that much to the oil companies. And like you said, it could go up to billions. But they reduced the amount of the fake fuel that they're supposed to blend to some arbitrary other smaller amount. And that's why.
Exactly. And I mean, what would make sense? What every American would do is drop it to 0 because there's none of it, and wait until they begin to produce it. It's government run amok. Phantom fuel.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for clearing that up. My conclusion is that the EPA has lost its mind. I think that's sort of what we get from this. And thank you for straightening us out. We appreciate your time.
Happy to help, Melissa. Thanks.